Welcome back to Property Management Madness. Property management is crazy. So let's talk about it. Pull up a seat, pull up a drink. We'll take a second so you can get ready. Settle on in. Okay.
Hope you all ready for this.
All right, Jay. What is the topic today? Do I
Uh,
get to pick?
this was your topic.
Well, I still want to ask you, so it seems like your topic.
Oh, well, you chose this topic, so go right ahead.
Okay,
Introduce
so
it.
I'm
Let's
going to talk
go.
about it. So be quiet then.
I didn't say talk about it. I
Okay.
said introduce it.
So, the topic of today is ownership. So, the relationship between owners and their property managers, what our role is, what their goal is, and how we work together to achieve that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that is a conversation that a lot of people don't think about. So, there are to me, there's two different types of ownership, right? I call those the planners and the prayers. So we have the planners, which are long term investors. These are people who buy investment properties and they have no intention of selling. They're looking to keep that property rented and to have it maintain or increase value for as long as possible. They are planning on maintaining the property and thinking of all the things that could possibly happen.
Yeah. They're
Um,
planning for a future in this
yeah,
investment.
absolutely. They're not looking to offload that
Yeah.
property. And then we have the prayers who are flippers.
Yep.
I
The
mean,
prayers who are flippers
yeah,
and everything else in this industry that is.
not long term
Yeah.
investment.
Yeah.
So these are people who are looking to buy low, sell high. And that can be with flips, renos, rehabs,
New
any
construction.
new construction, any number of things that could possibly happen. Trying to buy in the right area. So, in the hopes that you guessed the right area. If there's a big, like just here in the Metro Detroit area, Amazon came to this area and it increased the market in the area where they put a big business at. A lot of jobs came there, and if you guessed, okay, I'm going to put some money into the market over here where think I think Amazon might be
Yeah.
in the
Where I
next
think
year.
something is going to
In the
happen.
next year, you guessed right, and now you get to offload that property. If you renovate it, you get to offload it. Buy low, sell high. That's the plan. So, um, I think that we have those two different types of owners,
Yeah.
and that communication um, with the owner and their goal for the property has to be a open conversation.
Yeah, an open and honest conversation.
Yes,
Let's talk about what our responsibilities are to each other, especially for that long-term
for
owner.
sure.
That long-term owner that plans to keep this property going, keep it
Hmm.
as an investment,
Yep.
and actually make money on it.
Yeah.
They're not in it for the short term. They're not flipping this property. They're
Hmm.
not just remodeling and reselling.
Yeah.
They want to make an investment out of this. Let's talk about, as a property manager, what's our responsibilities to each other. And some people seem to forget that not only do we as property managers have a fiduciary responsibility to the owners that we work for,
I love that word.
but the owners also
Yeah.
have a responsibility to us.
Yes.
So let's
Yes.
talk about that. Let's
Well, I
expand
don't
on
want
that
to
a
say
bit.
just to us, but they have a
Well, and to their
responsibility to their
tenants.
tenant.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And
And we
a
are the
lot of times I think
middleman.
about the tenants are my tenants because they communicate with me.
Yeah.
I try and keep the owner out of that
Yeah.
100% as
Well,
much
yeah.
as I can. So I do tend to think about the tenants are mine. But the owner definitely has a responsibility to them. But let's expand on that. Let's talk about
Yeah.
what our responsibilities are to each other.
Yeah. Absolutely. So for me personally, I think that it goes back to property manager. I mean, at the bare minimum, has the most barest minimum has a responsibility to the owner to do right by them.
Mhm.
to manage their property, make sure that it is, I mean, we got the big 3, right? We
Mhm.
got maintained, collected on, not left vacant,
Yes.
right? So, those are the big 3. Without those 3, or even with just 2 of those 3, so you don't got much, okay? It can be maintained and occupied, but if somebody's not paying their rent, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It can be collected on and be occupied, but if it's not maintained, it's not gonna much matter. So all of those things, those big 3, I think are very
And I think
important.
that maintain is one of the really, really big ones
I
because
know that we're just gonna keep
maintaining,
talking about maintenance.
eh, well,
I love it.
it encompasses a lot of different things.
It touches
Like
everything.
maintaining,
Mhm.
it's going to bring you more profit. It's going to make sure your tenants are paying. It's
Yes.
going to make sure tenants aren't moving out. It's going to
Right.
reduce your turnover.
Yeah.
There a lot goes into maintaining your property.
Yeah.
And your fiduciary responsibility as the property manager is making sure
I
that
love
you
that word.
are walking through that house, checking everything, and communicating those problems to the owner.
Right.
So, like, if I'm managing a property and I think, like, I never walked through this property. I haven't been in this property in a year.
Yeah.
And then I show up, or the owner shows up, whoever shows up, city shows up to do a rental inspection,
You
and the
don't wanna see a
property is
nightmare.
destroyed.
Yeah.
I haven't fulfilled my responsibility to this owner.
Yeah.
So, and in the same aspect, say I have done my responsibilities. I have walked through this property. I've communicated what's wrong, what needs to be done to the owner, but the owner has completely ignored it or
Yeah.
doesn't care, doesn't want to spend the money, just wants the income.
Mhm.
They're not fulfilling their responsibility to me or the tenant,
Yeah.
especially the tenant, because they're the ones that have to live there. They're the
Right.
ones that have to live with whatever's wrong with the property. So on both ends, we all have to meet our responsibilities to make sure that the tenant is taken care of and that we're making sure your property is profitable. Because if you're not taking care of it and maintaining it, it's not going to be profitable. It's just not going to
Thank
happen.
you. Thank you for
Thank you
that.
very much. Thank you. I'm taking a bow right now.
Yes. I'm here all week. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I think you kind of touched on both facets, really, the
Yeah.
both aspects is that as a property manager, we have a responsibility to the owner to make sure that we are doing our jobs because
Yes.
we have to be doing our jobs.
Mhm.
And nobody likes to, walk into a house because a house just went vacant and the owner's like, okay, well, this house hasn't been vacant in 3 years. I really want to take a look. I'm in town. I really want to take a look at this. Come meet me here and we'll decide what we're going to do to get this property back on the
Mhm.
market. And you're like, great, I would love that.
Yes.
Because I honestly, I really enjoy meeting my owners, and
That's
sometimes,
exactly what I was
yes,
gonna say. I
s-
love actually meeting my
yes,
owners, especially the ones that live out of the country where I've never had an opportunity to actually meet them in
yes,
person.
yes, putting a name to a face, being being able to get personal.
Yeah.
I love that. I enjoy that, and I think it's really important.
Mhm.
So when an owner's like, "Hey, I have been putting my money in your lap. Show me what you've done for me,"
Mhm.
and I'm like, "I'm here for it.
100%. Let's go.
Let's go." And there's nothing worse than walking up to that property and looking like an idiot.
Yep.
Yep. And looking like a buffoon.
Yeah, that's one of the worst feelings. And I will say that, after COVID, that did actually happen a lot because there were situations where we couldn't get into properties for a year or more because COVID restrictions prevented us from doing so,
Yeah.
prevented us from doing maintenance, prevented us from viewing the property. And then when, the restrictions were lifted, we out that, the property is in pretty bad shape. Sorry, guys, we have our
Dogs.
dogs here, and
We just got pizza.
yeah, we got dinner. We got dinner coming in.
Oh,
Um,
there they go.
but yeah, it does happen, and that's one of the worst feelings. Is I'm going to meet my investor, my owner that has put their faith in me,
Yeah.
and who is actually paying me to keep an eye on their property. And you go to their property, to take them on a walkthrough of it, and you go in and the place is in disarray.
Yeah.
So, it's important to keep your eyes on it because you're not fulfilling your responsibility if you're
Yeah.
not doing so. There are situations that prevent you from doing so. We've
Well,
all
yeah.
seen the worldwide pandemic that
Yeah.
really hurt all of us and continues to hurt the rental industry.
Yeah.
But, you do the best you can. If you're doing your job
Yeah.
and you're fulfilling every responsibility that you have,
Yeah.
then you're going to keep a good property. You're going to keep a happy tenant.
Yeah.
And you know, I when my owners come into town, I will say in the 5 years I've been in this industry, I have not met a lot of my owners. A lot of owners like to hire a management company
Remain
because they want to
anonymous.
be hands off.
Yes.
But the owners that come into town that want to see things, I want to be confident when I go to show them, what they've invested in, what they've been spending their money on. I want to be confident when I go and show them their
And
property.
who they've been paying it to.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
they're getting income from this,
Yes.
and I'm getting income from this because, you know, they
Without
are
them, you wouldn't.
essentially
Yep.
that's where I'm getting my paycheck from
Yep.
is I have a whole portfolio of people that depend on me to make sure I'm doing my job correctly.
Yep. Yep.
So, I want to be confident.
Yeah.
So, and fulfilling my part of that management contract and making sure that things are correct,
Yeah.
I'm going to be confident when I go and show them that property.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that later in this episode, we can kind of talk about some red flags.
Red flags, what are
Red
those?
flags. I know it's your favorite thing. Uh, Things that you, as a seasoned property manager, can kind of guesstimate
Mhm.
based on the type of tenant that you have
Yeah.
rented the house to.
Yes.
Um,
And the experience we have in the
yeah,
industry, knowing
yeah,
what we're talking about
yeah.
when we communicate this
What
information.
are some red flags?
Just
So we'll talk about that a little bit later in the episode. But
yes.
so you kind of touch base on property managers' responsibility to the owners. Um, I love that for you, and
Thank you.
yeah, I love it. 10 out of 10. But now we have to kind of change gears.
Yeah.
So we have, what is the owner's responsibility to the property manager and to the tenant? And 99.9% of the time, those responsibilities are outlined in the management agreement.
100% they are.
And if they're not, then shame on you.
Yep.
Yep.
And I would say when you're reviewing your management agreement, like you should have all of these things already in there and set up and ready to go. But in reviewing it, if you see that there are things that aren't outlined, review your management agreement and update it.
Yeah.
But the owner has a responsibility to you as well, that you have to them. And one of the biggest things I always say that everybody has a responsibility in is communication.
Yes.
Communicate
Yes.
with your property manager and property management communicate with your owner.
Yeah.
It is so important. Do
Eh,
not ignore those emails, do not ignore those text messages or phone calls.
yes.
Talk to each other
Yes.
because if you're not talking to each other, nothing is getting done.
And
You're at
that,
a
I mean,
standstill.
that goes both ways. So that
Yes.
is with the duty of the property manager to the owner, and also of the owner to the property
Yeah.
manager.
And from
So
the property manager to the tenant.
yes,
Like communication works in all ways.
it is absolutely better to constantly send somebody updates
Mhm.
if you don't know. So some of my owners, back when I managed a single family home, some of my owners, they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear from you. They're like, okay, great. They don't want to know that somebody paid their rent. They don't want to know that that it passed city inspection. They don't want to know unless something bad is happening.
Mhm.
Like, they hired you to maintain and to figure it out. If you're figuring it out, they don't care.
Yes.
So, like, that's, I mean, and I've
And
dealt with.
that's great, actually. Like, if
Yeah,
you're figuring it out, you're getting things done, and your owner is good with that, that you're an effective property manager. You're
right.
getting things done.
Yeah,
But that works both ways. Like, there are
yeah.
ones that don't care at all, and ones that are over.
Exactly. So it's always better to err on the side of caution.
Yes.
And until somebody says, listen, don't email me about these
Yeah,
things,
because we have had
I
those.
don't care.
Yes.
Just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Is always send them more information than what they've asked for
Mhm.
until they tell you that they don't want it.
Yeah. And,
So they will always appreciate that you went above and beyond to explain to them what's happening. Again, we're talking about a investment. In my case, the property that I manage now, um, it's a multi-million dollar investment
yeah.
property. It's a huge property. Our gross potential rents are almost $4 million a
Mhm.
year.
And that's amazing.
And and then but you compare that to the other properties, the distressed properties that I managed in Pontiac that were $400 a month.
Yeah, the 4, 5,
Yes.
$600 a month rentals where
Right.
utilities are included,
Yeah.
like, but,
But your responsibility to your owner is the same.
yes,
Doesn't
100%. It
matter.
doesn't matter
Yep.
if the property is renting for $400 a month. It doesn't matter if the property, I think my most expensive rental is $6,500 a month.
Yep.
It doesn't matter on either end. Your responsibilities remain the same.
Yes.
And your responsibility to your tenant remains the same no
Yeah.
matter what rent they're paying.
Doesn't
They are
matter.
still important. They are still
Yep.
paying rent. They are still paying you.
Mhm.
So, making sure that they are taken care of and your
Yeah.
property is taken care of, it stays the same. And I will
Yeah.
would say again about communication is even if you don't know the answer to somebody's question, communicating is still important. Say something. Do not ignore something just because you may not know the answer. Talk to whoever it is, may it be an owner or a tenant. Say, I'm following up on this. I'm getting you an answer,
Yeah.
whatever it might be. You don't just stay silent because staying silent is just going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's being the bearer of bad news.
It's
N-
never fun.
Nobody wants it.
Yeah.
Nobody wants it. But not responding is giving yourself cement shoes.
Yep. You're just going to
You
sink and
you're
you're going
gonna
to take
sink.
everything with you.
Yep, absolutely. You're gonna make it seem like you are not competent, and which may not be the case at all. So I mean, it could very well be. Okay, it could.
Hopefully it's not, but it
Hopefully it's
can
not,
be.
but I mean, it can 100% very well be. If you're just in this, you just broke into this industry, you've been here less than a year. Welcome. Are you afraid yet?
Welcome to the shit show. We invite you and we will teach you everything we know.
Yes. But I mean, you've been in the industry less than a year and you have a tree fall on a property. You have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
You have a broken sewer line in a basement. You have no idea what to do.
Mm.
You have whatever. I can't. A roof that needs to be replaced. You have a sewer line in the front yard. You have an issue with the water main.
Mhm.
Your water line from the city to the home that's your responsibility is a lead line, and the tenant finds out, and now you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things, but not being responsive to the tenant when they are bringing up things, not good.
Yeah. You
Not being
have to say
responsive to
something.
the owner, not good. Or not telling the owner, hey, look, the tenant just brought up that this is a lead based water line. Be honest.
Yeah.
You
I'm
can
going to
be honest.
find out what I need to do to get this
Right.
resolved. I will follow up
You
with you.
can be honest and say, look, I have never dealt with this before, but I'm gonna figure it out
Yes.
and I will keep you updated.
Because in most situations in the companies we've worked for, there are resources.
Mhm.
There are resources, there are people you can ask, there's ways to find things out.
Yeah.
eh, And just responding and saying, I understand this is going on.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer right now, but
Yeah.
I will get you an answer.
Right.
But if you just stay silent and now a week has gone by, you've said nothing,
Don't do
that
that.
is coming back to bite you.
Mhm.
because it's going to not only hurt you as the manager of that property, it's going to hurt the owner. It's going to hurt the tenant, the
Yeah.
person who is living there and paying rent.
Yeah.
So say something
Mhm.
and then figure it out.
Yeah.
And the longer you're in this industry, the more you will learn and be able to just confidently know
What
what
the
you're
answer
doing,
is.
what the
Yeah.
answer is, and how to fix it.
And sometimes the answer is tough.
Yeah.
Sucks.
Yep.
Sorry.
Sometimes it sucks to be you, but
Yeah. Sometimes that's the answer.
sometimes
Sometimes
it's
and that
I will
goes
get this fixed for you.
that goes both ways.
Mhm.
That goes with the tenant and it goes with the owner. Well, the owner might be like, "Oh, well, this person, let's say somebody rents a home and the owner lives nearby." Red flag. Owner lives nearby
Red flag.
and the tenant is outside smoking a cigarette on the front porch.
Mhm.
And the owner texts you and is like, or emails you and was like, "Hey, my property's non-smoking and I saw this resident outside on the porch smoking and that's not okay."
But
And you
it
have to
is.
right. And you have to break it down for the owner that just the property is non-smoking.
Yeah. Uh,
And if they're smoking outside, that's where you want them to do it.
Sometimes people just need an explanation as
Right.
to why this is okay or that's
Right.
okay or this isn't okay or that isn't okay. There not everybody has been in this industry where they know what they're doing. There are new owners that have just broke into this industry. They
Yeah.
don't know, what is allowed, what isn't allowed, what's fair housing, which is going to be another entire show that we can talk
Oh
about when
yeah.
it comes to fair housing. Um, but a lot of
Read it,
people,
learn it,
yeah,
live it.
yes, a lot of people don't know. They don't know what's allowed and what's not allowed.
Yeah.
They don't know, owners and tenants alike may not have read the lease because we all know when somebody signs a lease, nobody reads it. It's 30 pages long.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to read all
Yep,
that.
exactly. I
So,
break it down. When I was doing leases, I became the wizard of doing leases. And I
mhm,
was like, okay, this is all the garble it says, but this is what it
yeah,
means.
remember
This is
working in storage? We had that stuff
yes.
scripted and down
Yes.
pat. We knew
Yes.
exactly what we were saying,
Yes.
exactly the important things to
Where it
say.
was and highlight, okay.
Yes.
So, and if somebody wanted to take their time and read a 35
Please
page
feel
lease,
free.
yes.
I would love for you to read the entire lease
I
because
love
then
that
I
for you.
know that you have actually read
Yes.
everything that's in
And
there.
you know.
Yes, because a lot of people are going to come
But then
back,
don't break
tenants
the
and owners
rules.
alike are going to come back and say, "Well, I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't know
Mhm.
this. I didn't know that." Well, that's
Yeah.
because you didn't read it. You
Yeah.
didn't read your management agreement. You didn't read your lease.
Yeah.
It's all in there, I promise you.
Yeah.
I will send you all of it
Yeah.
because I've seen it a million times
Yeah.
because I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
Read it, know it, live it, love it,
Read
or
it,
don't love
learn
it,
it,
but
live
understand that
it.
you're still held to it.
Yeah.
Um, but it's all of these things are important,
Yeah.
especially just like the communication and the responsibilities we have to each other because
Yeah.
we're not here. I'm not just here to make a quick buck working in this job.
Yeah.
I care that you're living in a place that is habitable and
Yeah.
nice, and I want you to have a nice home. I don't want it to be not well maintained. I want to make sure it's being taken care of. And for the owner too, I want to make sure I'm taking care of their investment. They spent money on this.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that I am helping my owner. And as the owner, I need you to do your part as well by responding, approving things, not ignoring when I'm sending you 5 different emails saying I need to get something done. Your responsibility is to communicate with me,
Yeah.
just like mine is to communicate with you.
Right. Well, and the just because the responsibility of the owner is to the property manager what it is, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to tell you, "Hey, um this is what needs to be done. You need to do it."
Hmm.
I'm not your boss.
Yeah.
I'm not your boss. So,
I like to pretend like I am sometimes.
yeah. At the end of the day, you can always say no,
Mm,
but it is my responsibility as the property manager to tell you what needs to be done and your responsibility as the owner to respond.
Yeah.
Whether that's yes, do it, no, don't do it. The response is what is required,
Yes.
and the maintenance of the property in order to ensure a safe living environment for your tenant
Yeah.
is the responsibility.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it
And
in your hands as the owner.
yeah, and like let's just kind of talk about, the planners and the prayers. So your goal as an owner may change, especially what we saw last summer, where we saw the housing market was on fire. It was
Yes. And
crazy.
now you look at
Never
it,
seen anything like it before in my whole life. It was crazy, crazy, crazy. And
you couldn't
I've
keep a house on a market.
I know, and I listed properties. I've done that before. I'm a licensed real estate agent, so I'm very familiar with the market. And last summer, unheard of. Never saw anything like it.
Same.
So sometimes, that is that not sometimes, but that is an open conversation that you have to have with your owners all the time.
Yeah. Open
Right?
communication.
Are you still looking to hold this property? Are you still looking to be a planner?
Mhm.
Are
Or do you
you
want to start flipping? What do
right?
you want to
Or what
do?
is it
What's
that
your
you're
expectation?
right? Well, yeah. What is it that you want to do? And then as the property manager, the company that Jay and Jay still works for, is also a brokerage. So we specialized in putting houses on the market.
Hmm.
We specialized in flips, things that investors are looking for.
Yeah.
And maybe this owner doesn't know. Maybe this owner doesn't know
Uh,
because they're in Israel
yeah.
and they're out
And
of the country that our housing market is on fire.
and
I
that's
can
one of the
get
most
you,
important things,
hmm
education,
yeah,
educating people.
I can get you X amount if you decide that you want to sell.
Mhm.
This house is beautiful. It's in a very desirable area. I think that it may be in your best interest, if you are interested, to put this house on the market, sell it, reinvest that.
Yeah.
Because now you're reinvesting, with the amount of profit that you made, maybe you can buy two properties.
Yeah.
And some people don't know.
And sometimes it comes to, an owner maybe just, they're in an area like there's A, B, C, D, whatever area you're
Yeah.
in, you may be in a lower end market.
You can be in a
And
C area, but still have an A property,
yeah,
and it's
and
still worth
you
selling.
may want to sell that property and reinvest those funds in
Mhm.
another area, which is great for you. I
Yeah.
mean, and in the company I work for, like Shauna mentioned, we have a brokerage. We do the rental management. We do community management. We have a
Yeah.
company that does loans. We do a lot of things, and we're here for the investor. We want to make
Yeah.
sure that we're doing everything we can to help you in the if this is the industry you want to be in,
Yeah.
this is what you want to do,
And I think that
we're
that's our
gonna
duty
do 100%. Like this is
because they don't know.
and I actually enjoy what I do. I
Yeah.
enjoy this industry. This
You
is what
said
I want to do.
actually. I actually
Well,
enjoy
because
what I
a
do.
lot of people do not enjoy what they
Yeah.
do. So I actually enjoy the industry I work in.
Yeah.
So,
I love what I
I
do.
want to make sure that, my investors are taken care of, my tenants are taken care of. Shauna's giving me the 1 minute sign. We have 1 minute left, people. Countdown.
The final countdown. Do, do, do,
Da-na-na-na-na.
do. All right.
So,
But yeah, I love my job too. I
yeah.
love and I think the takeaway is that that conversation with your owners has to be a fluid conversation. It has to
Yes.
happen all the time because as the market changes, investment goals may change.
And I will say that some owners, that may be a fluid conversation. Some owners want to empower you to make those decisions for them.
Yes,
There are many that do so. But if you're not one of those owners, keeping that open line of communication is extremely important.
absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to wrap this up. We got 20 seconds left. So thanks for coming along with us. I don't know what our next you got 15 seconds to figure out what our next topic is going to
She
be.
always throws it at me right at the end. I will let you all know at the beginning of the next episode what our new topic will
All
be.
right. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Bye.